My brother's kid spilled juice on my daughter's dress and said, "She's not really part of this family anyway." I stayed silent. An hour later, Mom texted, "Don't come back, you're always the problem." My sister liked it immediately. I responded, "I'm ending every responsibility you've dumped on me." By midnight, their panic had exploded. 41 missed calls. Asterisk asterisk. Can you imagine being told you're not family by a 9-year-old right after he's deliberately drenched your own daughter in juice? As if that weren't enough, my own mother then texted me an hour later, "Don't come back. You cause problems." And my sister? She liked it. My entire world shattered, but what happened next, what I did next, blew their minds. My name is Tyler, and I'm 36. For most of my adult life, I've been the person my family called when things fell apart. Not because they actually respected me, and definitely not because they valued my opinion. No, it was because I showed up with my wallet open and my mouth shut. I learned this role early on. When I was just 17, my dad sat me down at the kitchen table, his voice low and serious, and explained that my older brother, Daniel, needed help with his first car payment. Just for a few months, Dad said, just until Daniel got on his feet. That was 19 years ago. The car changed many times, but those payments? They never stopped. My sister, Natalie, was different. She never asked me directly. Oh no. She'd call Mom, and then Mom would call me. The pattern was always the same. Natalie needed something. Mom would sigh dramatically on the phone, a heavy, put-upon sound, and say, "Tyler, you're the only one who can help. You're the responsible one, the dependable one." I became the family bank, practically by default, without ever once agreeing to the job. My daughter, Sophie, is 7. She has my eyes and her mother's radiant smile. Her mother, Jennifer, left when Sophie was only 2. Our divorce was brutal, honestly. Jennifer told me, point blank, that I gave more to my family than I ever gave to her. Looking back now, she was probably right. After she left, my family barely called to check on Sophie. But they still called when they needed money. Always. Just last month, Mom asked me to cover the homeowner's insurance on the family house. She claimed the premium had gone up and Dad's pension was tight. I agreed. Of course, I always agreed. The payment was set to auto-draft from my account on the 15th of every single month. 2 weeks before that, Daniel needed me to take over his phone plan. His credit was bad, he said, and the carrier wouldn't approve him. Another $37 a month added to my bill. Natalie? She never asked for anything small. 3 years ago, she bought this luxury SUV she clearly couldn't afford. When the repo man showed up, she called Mom, absolutely hysterical. Mom called me. So, naturally, I took over the car note. For $112. Every single month. I never even got a thank you text. Not once. I kept a spreadsheet. It started as a way to track my own budget, but over time, it became a meticulous record of every single thing I paid for them. The numbers were staggering. Insurance, phone bills, car payments, storage units, subscription services they'd signed up for using my email and then totally forgotten about. The monthly total? A mind-boggling $4,300. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself they would pay me back. I told myself this was just what family did for each other. Sophie once asked me why Grandma never came to her school events. I didn't have a good answer. The truth was too ugly, too heartbreaking. My family took my money, my time, my resources, but they never, ever made space for my daughter. To them, Sophie was just a reminder that I had priorities outside of their immediate needs. I thought about cutting them off, you know? The idea surfaced every few months, usually late at night, when I was paying bills and watching my savings account shrink into oblivion. But I always talked myself out of it. They were my family. Blood was supposed to matter. I believed that. Right up until the moment Daniel's son poured a full pitcher of juice on my daughter's favorite dress and then, with a smirk, told her she didn't belong. The family gathering was supposed to be a celebration. Mom's birthday. The whole family was there. Daniel brought his wife and their 9-year-old son, Mason. Natalie, of course, showed up late, her new boyfriend trailing behind her. Sophie wore her favorite dress, a light blue with small white flowers. She'd picked it out herself 2 weeks earlier, so proud of it. She twirled in the driveway before we even walked into the backyard, asking me, "Daddy, do I look pretty?" I told her she looked beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Mason was holding a plastic pitcher of fruit punch when we arrived. He was showing off, swinging it around near the food table, making a big show of it. Daniel actually laughed, telling him, "Be careful." But there was no real warning in his voice, just amusement. Sophie went to sit at the kids' table, a small folding table set up under the old oak tree. Mason followed her. I was standing near the grill, talking to Dad about nothing important, when I heard Sophie gasp. I turned around just in time to see Mason tilt the entire pitcher of bright red fruit punch over Sophie's head. The liquid poured down her hair, soaking into her dress, pooling on the grass around her tiny feet. She stood frozen, her mouth open in pure shock. For a moment, the whole backyard went silent. Then Mason grinned. He looked right at me, a defiant glint in his eye, and said, "She's not part of this family anyway." My vision narrowed. I could feel my heartbeat hammering in my throat. I walked over to Sophie. She was starting to cry now, her small hands hovering uselessly over the ruined dress. I knelt down next to her, pulling her close. "It's okay, baby," I whispered, my voice rough. "Let's get you cleaned up." I expected someone to say something. I expected Daniel to apologize, to scold his son. I expected Mom to intervene. I expected someone to acknowledge what had just happened. Nobody did. Daniel shrugged, a pathetic little gesture, and said, "Kids will be kids." Mom sighed, rolling her eyes. "Tyler, don't make a scene. It's just a dress." "And Natalie?" She laughed. Not loudly, but I heard it. A small, mean sound that cut through the silence of the moment. I didn't argue. I scooped Sophie up and took her inside, into the bathroom. I used paper towels to blot the sticky juice from her hair. She cried silently, the way she had learned to cry when she didn't want to bother me. It broke something inside my chest. "I'm sorry, Daddy," she whispered. "You have nothing to be sorry for, baby," I told her, my voice catching. We left through the side gate. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't make a scene. I just buckled Sophie into her car seat and drove us home. The text came an hour later. It was from Mom, short and direct. "Don't come back. You always cause problems." I stared at the screen, rereading the message 3 times, searching for some explanation, some context, anything. There was none. Then I saw the notification. Natalie had liked the message. I sat in my living room, my phone heavy in my hand. Sophie was upstairs, taking a bath, hopefully washing away the stickiness and the hurt. The ruined dress was already in the trash. I felt something shift inside me. A gear clicking into place. A decision, hard and unyielding, solidifying. I opened the Notes app on my phone and typed 4 words, ending every responsibility now. Then I opened my banking app. I sat on the couch for a long time after Sophie went to bed. The house was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the floorboards upstairs. My phone was face down on the coffee table. I hadn't replied to Mom's text. I didn't know what to say. The words kept replaying in my mind. Asterisk, "Don't come back. You always cause problems." Asterisk, I tried to make sense of it. I tried to find the logic. My daughter had been humiliated. My nephew had deliberately ruined her dress and announced she didn't belong. And somehow, I was the problem. I thought about all the times I had swallowed my pride for them. All the times I had said yes when every fiber of my being screamed no. All the money I had given without ever being asked to give it back. I thought about Sophie's face when the juice hit her. The confusion, the hurt, the way she had apologized to me as if she had done something wrong. That was the moment I understood. This was never going to change. They would never see me as anything other than a resource. Someone to use when convenient and to ignore when not. I had been telling myself a story for years. A beautiful, comforting lie where my sacrifices mattered. Where my family appreciated what I did for them. Where one day, they would realize how much I had given and thank me for it. That story was a lie. The truth was simpler and far uglier. They didn't respect me. They took my money because I let them. They dismissed my daughter because I allowed it. I had spent almost 2 decades being their silent ATM, and the only thing it had earned me was contempt. I picked up my phone and opened the spreadsheet. The one I had been keeping for years, the one that listed every payment, every bill, every favor I had covered. 12 years of data. Hundreds of transactions. Tens of thousands of dollars. I scrolled through it slowly. Insurance payments, car notes, phone bills, utility deposits, even emergency vet bills for a dog that wasn't even mine. Furniture they needed delivered, subscriptions they signed up for and forgot about. The list went on and on. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, there was a running total. I had never calculated it before. I had been afraid to see the number, honestly. But tonight, I wasn't afraid anymore. $173,000. I stared at that number until my eyes burned. $173,000 over 12 years. Money I could have saved. Money I could have invested. Money I could have used to build a better life for Sophie. Gone. And for what? For a family that told me not to come back. For a family that liked the message when I was disinvited. For a family that let my daughter be humiliated and called it no big deal. I closed the spreadsheet. I opened my banking app. It was time to stop being the person they expected me to be. I made coffee, strong and black, the way I liked it. Then I sat down at the kitchen table with my laptop and started clicking through my bank accounts. The first thing I pulled up was the list of recurring payments. It was longer than I remembered. Each line represented a commitment I had made, usually under pressure, usually without any real agreement about repayment. Homeowners insurance for mom and dad, $231 per month. Daniel's phone plan, $37 per month. Natalie's car note, $412 per month. The family storage unit, $85 per month. Streaming services on my email, $62 per month across 4 platforms. Car insurance for Daniel's second vehicle, $19 per month. The list went on. 17 separate recurring charges. $4,300 leaving my account every single month like clockwork. I started with the streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and some sports package I didn't even recognize. I canceled all 4. The confirmation emails arrived within minutes. Then I moved to the phone plan. Daniel's line had been on my account for 6 months. I navigated to the carrier's website and removed him as an authorized user. The system asked me to confirm. I clicked yes. The car note for Natalie was more complicated. I couldn't just stop paying it without consequences, but I could remove the autopay. I logged into the lender's portal and deleted my saved payment method. The next payment would bounce. They would contact her directly. I did the same with Daniel's car insurance. Canceled the autopay, letting the policy lapse on its own. The storage unit was easier. I called the facility's after-hours line and left a message terminating the lease effective immediately. They had my credit card on file, but I could dispute any charges after I formally ended the agreement. Then I got to the homeowner's insurance. This one made me pause. If I canceled this and something happened to the house, my parents would be in serious trouble. I thought about Mom's text. Asterisk, don't come back. You always cause problems. Asterisk, I clicked to cancel. The confirmation screen asked if I was sure. My finger hovered for a split second, then I clicked yes. By the time I finished, it was almost midnight. My phone had been buzzing intermittently, but I had silenced it. I opened the notifications. 41 missed calls. 12 voicemails. 33 text messages. I didn't listen to the voicemails. I didn't read the texts. I already knew what they would say. Confusion, anger, panic, accusations. I poured another cup of coffee and stared at the screen. For the first time in 12 years, my bank account was my own. The first text came from Natalie at 11:42 p.m. What the hell did you do? I didn't respond. 3 minutes later, Daniel sent a message. My phone just got disconnected. Fix this. I turned my phone face down and tried to sleep. It didn't work. The phone kept buzzing. Every few minutes, another message, another call. The desperation was escalating. At 12:17 a.m., Mom called. I let it ring. She called again immediately. Then again. On the 4th attempt, I answered. Tyler, what is going on? Her voice was tight, controlled. The tone she used when she was angry, but trying to sound reasonable. I'm ending the payments, I said, my voice calm, flat. What payments? All of them. There was a pause. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. You can't just do that, she said. We have an agreement. We never had an agreement, I replied. You asked. I gave. That's over now. Tyler, this is ridiculous. You're upset about what happened with Sophie, I understand. But you can't punish the whole family over a childish accident. I felt the anger rise in my throat, hot and sharp. I swallowed it down. It wasn't an accident, Mom. And this isn't punishment. This is me stopping a pattern that should have ended years ago. So, you're just going to abandon us? The word hit me like a slap. Abandon. As if I owed them my entire financial life. As if 12 years of support meant nothing unless I kept going forever. You told me not to come back. I said quietly. Natalie liked your message. You made it clear where I stand. So, I'm giving you what you want. Distance. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Then what did you mean? She didn't answer. I have to go, I said. Good night, Mom. I hung up before she could respond. The messages kept coming. Daniel was furious. Natalie was calling me selfish. Dad sent a single text asking me to reconsider. I blocked all of them. At 1:15 a.m., I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was Daniel's wife. You're really going to leave us with no phone service? We have a kid. I stared at the message. Then I typed a response. You have a kid who thinks it's okay to humiliate mine. Maybe use this time to teach him respect. I blocked her number too. By 2 a.m., the messages had slowed. I sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the guilt to come. It didn't. Instead, I felt something else. Something lighter. Like a weight I had been carrying for years had finally been lifted. I woke up at 6 a.m. and went straight to my office. Sophie was still asleep. I had the house to myself. I opened my filing cabinet and pulled out every folder related to my family's expenses. Bank statements, receipts, emails, texts. Years of documentation I had kept without really knowing why. Now I knew. I spread everything out on the desk and started organizing. I created categories: insurance, utilities, loans, subscriptions, emergency payments, one-time favors that turned into long-term commitments. The homeowner's insurance folder was thick. I had been paying it for 4 years. The policy was in my parents' names, but the payment came from my account. I had copies of every confirmation email, every renewal notice. Natalie's car note had its own folder, 42 months of payments, not a single one reimbursed. I had the loan agreement, the payment history, and the emails where she promised to take it over once her credit improved. That was 3 years ago. Daniel's phone plan had less documentation, but I had the account summary showing his line was added 6 months ago. I also had a text thread where he swore he would pay me back by the end of the year. I scanned everything. I saved the files to a cloud drive. Then I organized them into a single PDF document, 118 pages. The cover page was simple: financial support provided to family. January 2013 to November 2025. And that total, emblazoned across the top, $173,000. I didn't plan to send it to anyone. Not yet. But I wanted it ready. I wanted proof that I wasn't abandoning them. I was stopping a system that had been draining me for over a decade. At 9 a.m., my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Mr. Tyler Harrison, a woman's voice, professional, asked. Yes, this is he. Hi, this is Linda from Bright Horizon Insurance. We received a cancellation request for policy number 447-8821. I'm calling to confirm this was authorized by you. Yes, it was. Can I ask why you're canceling? The policyholders can explain, I said. I'm no longer responsible for the premium. There was a pause. Understood, she said. The cancellation will be effective at the end of the billing cycle, November 30th. Thank you. I hung up. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. A text from Dad. The insurance company just called. What is going on? I didn't respond. Another text from Mom this time. Tyler, we need to talk. Call me. I turned my phone off. I spent the rest of the morning reviewing my other finances. I checked every account, every subscription, every autopay. I wanted to make sure I hadn't missed anything. By noon, I was confident. Every financial connection to my family had been severed. They no longer had access to my money. They no longer had automatic support. I felt a strange sense of calm. For years, I had been afraid of this moment. Afraid of what they would say. Afraid of how they would react. Afraid that I was being selfish or cruel. But sitting in my office, surrounded by 12 years of proof that I had given everything and received nothing in return, I realized the truth. I was not being cruel. I was being fair. They had taken my generosity and turned it into an expectation. They had taken my love for them and turned it into a transaction. I was done being their ATM. I was done being invisible. I saved the PDF one more time and closed my laptop. The doorbell rang at 6 p.m. I was making dinner for Sophie. Spaghetti with butter and Parmesan, her favorite. I wiped my hands on a towel and checked the peephole. It was Natalie. I didn't open the door. She rang again. Then she knocked. Then she started calling my name through the door. Tyler, I know you're in there. Open the door. We need to talk. I stayed silent. Tyler, come on. This is ridiculous. Just let me in. Sophie came down the stairs, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Daddy, who is it? Nobody important, I said. Go back upstairs and play for a few minutes. Dinner will be ready soon. She nodded, accepting this with a child's trust, and went back up. Natalie was still knocking. I walked to the door and spoke through it. Go home, Natalie. I'm not leaving until you talk to me. Then you're going to be out there a long time. Tyler, this is insane. You can't just cut us off like this. I already did. You're being childish. I almost laughed. Childish? The word was absurd coming from her. She had spent 3 years letting me pay for her car. She had never once asked how I was doing. She had liked Mom's message telling me to stay away. And I was being childish? Go home, I repeated. My car is going to get repossessed if you don't reinstate the payment. That's your problem, Natalie. Tyler, please. I can't afford this on my own. You know that. You should have thought about that before you bought a car you couldn't afford. I thought you were going to help me. I did help you. For 3 years. I'm done now. I heard her voice crack, a desperate, almost tearful sound. What am I supposed to do? Figure it out, I said, my voice cold. Like I've had to figure out how to raise my daughter alone while funding your entire lifestyle. She didn't respond. I walked back to the kitchen and turned off the stove. The spaghetti was done. I drained the pasta and mixed in the butter. Natalie knocked one more time, softer now, and then I heard her footsteps fade away. My phone rang 10 minutes later. It was Daniel. I answered on speaker while I plated Sophie's dinner. What the hell is wrong with you? He said, no greeting, just raw anger. Hi, Daniel. Don't hi, Daniel, me. You just screwed over the entire family. Do you have any idea what you've done? I stopped paying your bills. That's what I've done. My phone got shut off. My wife's phone got shut off. We can't even call for help if there's an emergency. You can buy a new plan. You have a job. I can't afford a new plan right now. Then maybe you should have been more careful with your budget. He was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was low, dangerous. You're doing this because of Mason, aren't you? Because he spilled juice on Sophie. He didn't spill it. He poured it. Deliberately. And then he told her she wasn't family. He's 9 years old. And you didn't correct him. Neither did Mom. Neither did anyone. It was a stupid kid thing. You're blowing it out of proportion. Maybe. But it's my money and I decide what I do with it. You're being selfish. The word hung in the air. Selfish. After 12 years of giving, after $173,000, after countless hours of stress and sacrifice. Selfish. Yeah, I said. I guess I am. I hung up. Sophie came into the kitchen and climbed into her chair. Is everything okay, Daddy? I smiled at her, a real smile. The first one in days. Everything's fine, baby. Let's eat. The calls stopped after 5 days. The texts stopped after a week. By the second week, my phone was silent. I'd blocked their numbers, so I don't know if they kept trying. I don't know if they gave up. And honestly, I don't care. The storage unit sent me a final bill. I paid it and closed the account. The company confirmed that all items had been claimed by my parents. I never asked what was in there. Natalie's car was repossessed on a Tuesday. I know because she posted about it on social media, a long, dramatic message about betrayal and family loyalty. She didn't mention my name, but I knew it was about me. A few people commented with sympathy. I didn't respond. I didn't engage. Daniel found a new phone plan eventually. I saw him tagged in a photo at a family gathering I wasn't invited to. He looked fine. Everyone looked fine. The homeowner's insurance lapsed, and Mom called the company to reinstate it under their own payment. It cost them more, but they managed. They always managed. I thought I would feel guilty. I thought the weight of cutting them off would crush me, but it didn't. Instead, I felt free. Sophie started second grade in September. I was there for every parent-teacher conference, every school event, every soccer practice. I was present in a way I had never been before because I wasn't constantly worrying about the next payment, the next emergency, the next demand. I started saving again. Real saving. The kind that builds a future instead of patching holes in someone else's budget. I took Sophie to the zoo, to the aquarium, to a small beach town 3 hours away where we built sandcastles and collected shells. We stayed in a cheap motel and ate pancakes for breakfast. It was the best weekend of my life. One night, Sophie asked me why we didn't see Grandma and Grandpa anymore. I thought carefully about how to answer. Sometimes people grow apart, I said. It's not because of anything you did. It's just how life works sometimes. She nodded, accepting this in the way children do when they trust you completely. Do you miss them? She asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said. I don't. And it was the truth. I didn't miss the stress. I didn't miss the expectation. I didn't miss being invisible unless they needed something from me. What I had now was better. Simpler. Quieter. I had a daughter who knew she was loved. I had a life that was my own. I had boundaries that I controlled. I thought about that day in the backyard. The juice. The insult. The text from Mom. It had hurt. God, it had hurt. But it had also been the push I needed, the final piece of evidence that no amount of money or sacrifice would ever earn their respect. So, I stopped trying. I stopped being the person they wanted me to be and started being the person Sophie needed me to be. And that truly made all the difference. Have you ever faced a moment where you realized you had to choose yourself or your own immediate family over the expectations of your extended family? Tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? I really want to know what you think in the comments below.